Should I show you what's happening? This is happening. Like the background comes in from above instead of the card coming in from below. It's messed up. I have no idea what's going on. Because if I do it manually, it works just fine. If I tick here, it doesn't. It comes in from above. Oh.
Yeah, in a wallet, that sometime when you do a swap, the transaction to claim your name from a swap has a validity rate of 0. And that's not normal.
Why is it? Yeah, that would never work, right?
That should not work. Yeah, that will not work.
So if a miner sees that, it would just simply say like, invalid and drop it.
Yeah. That's why sometimes some people just don't get their name because the transaction is invalid.
Any idea how that happened?
Yeah, sometimes just, I guess the user just got too fast, and the Nimiq consensus is that totally established yet, so we don't have the blockade, and it's defaulted to 0, so the transaction is signed with blockade 0, and they don't get their name.
The speed thing is a problem.
I'm working on our configuration management.
But I still remember yesterday we talked about this, right? High availability was not enough. You wanted, what was it?
But
ultra high availability? Or how was it called?
No, it was high availability. Well, basically we have these configuration parameters, right? Some of them are actually secrets, like what we were discussing yesterday, right? Because they are credentials. And
So should I do like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody was just.
And some of them are not, right? They are just configuration. For example, the fee, right? Which is right now 0.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to stay like that.
No, it's not going to stay like that. But the thing is that these parameters, right now they are like basically in a file, like this, which is included in a YAML file that is included in our containers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to stop doing that. We want to move that to a centralized configuration service somewhere, kind of like this. So that we can, for example, right now, one example of that is here. These fees are repeated here in the HTLC component, but also in the clearing component and also in our settlement component, right? So we want to centralize that so that all of them always have the same fee and you don't have to change it individually for each of them. But also because, having configuration in a config file is not the best way to do it or like the most elegant way. So I'm
So you have like a config server or what?
Yeah, something like that. But also so there are several challenges. One of them is that, I need to figure out, which is what I'm doing right now, which configuration is shared by which of these three components, right? And then I also need to figure out like a naming scheme so that we don't confuse ourselves when updating this, right? Because we will have like it's called the parameter store, the service that does that in AWS. So we need to have a name there, and that name is going to be mapped to an environment variable, and the environment variable is going to be referenced here. And I need to make sure all of those are kind of like self-documenting, right? Because otherwise you may change something that you didn't intend to change.
So what it also means then we could basically live change those parameters or without redeploying the applications?
Not right now, because what's going on is that these parameters are going to be injected into the container as environment variables, which is what we're reading here, and that happens at startup.
Okay.
So right now, no, but it is in our plans to be able to change them dynamically at runtime. But it's not something we're doing right now for the launch of this, but eventually it will be nice to have.
Sounds really cool, yeah.
Exactly. We're not stuck right now on anything, which is good. We're making progress.
Nice. How's it going? Can I ask you, what are you working on right now?
On the NanoSim kit, just finishing some documentation actually, so nothing fancy.
Like the final steps or what?
Well, it's something I need to do at a given point, and I'm avoiding finding a bug in it.
I remember you told me about this one big bug. How's it going with that bug?
Not well. Slow. So I'm kind of taking a break. The documentation also needs to be done, so I'm just doing that.
You remember you told me like you're using a library and it's supposed to work and some professors are working on it and still it does something completely unexpected and everybody is puzzled?
Yeah,
They
also don't know why the bug is happening or none in the team, no one in the team, so it's a mystery. So
does it have to do that with that CK snarks and all these things are still pretty new, pretty cutting edge?
No, they are new, but no, it should be something in the code. Because I can generate some proofs and verify them for parts of the code. It's just one specific place that is not working for some reason.
It's strange, right?
But you know, it's solvable for sure. It's just quite a bit annoying.
So it's good to do something else in between.
Yeah, just take your mind out of it, and then hopefully, with a fresh look, you can find it.
I mean, your documentation you have to do anyway.
Yeah, it's all high priority stuff. You know, needs to be finished anyway, so it's a way of taking a break for a day, I guess.
And what do you think you're going to be working on next?
So far, there are no plans, but like there's a huge to-do list, so I'll just pick one.
Where is it? No, I think it's all. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big to-do list. There's no shortage of stuff to do.
not worried
Don't worry.
about
No, I don't lose sleep at night thinking, what I'm gonna do afterwards. That is stuff.
I am basically bug hunting every day, all day. But the cool thing is that there's like a bunch of different like complicated bugs that you can like swap out for each other. So it kind of never gets boring in that sense, right? So
Is it like you find one, you kill one, you find 3 new ones, or
No, not really, not really.
You're kind of getting down to.
yeah, I feel like we are getting down to it. Also, some of them, the ones concerning the network layer in particular, I basically handed over to Janos and Sergio. And so they also now enjoy the bug hunting kind of times. Also supporting others hunting bugs.
Yeah, I've got it again.
You got it again. Okay.
The one I told you about earlier. This page, which is down here,
Yeah.
which is positioned absolutely,
Uh-huh.
or supposed to at least.
Yeah.
And the other page, which is currently the one in view, like on target,
Which is underlay is probably
the underlay. Yeah, exactly. Which
positioned
is
how?
nothing, just there.
Okay, it's just
And it's supposed
okay,
and
so
it's supposed to be at the flex end, right at the end of the app, but it's not. It's at the beginning. Somehow this absolutely positioned box is influencing the other one, and now if I click it instead of this one coming from below,
that does not quite look
the
right.
other one,
I'll just show you what I've got now.
the other one comes in from the top. Because it's blocked by this absolutely positioned and transformed element.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
And the code is actually compiled, so everything is really
So you're waiting for it. How long does that take?
It depends. If you're building from scratch, maybe like a minute. The Rust compiler has come a long way. Yeah,
Oh, then maybe it's changed. Maybe it depends what you're building, right?
yeah maybe a minute was overselling it. Maybe it takes a couple of minutes, but definitely not 15.
But that's for sure still intense, right? If you want to keep working.
Exactly, yeah. Most of the time you don't build from scratch. I'm just updating some dependencies, so I have to. But yeah, you usually don't build from scratch.
So you don't build from scratch in seconds.
We still keep the label max.
Roughly what you're working on? Still the protocol? I remember that Bruno told me that he was no, actually it was Sebastian telling me about the bug that he handed over to you guys because it was network layer and
We're pretty much working on it. Janis is taking the main task of fixing that issue, and well, he's come a long way since the start of the week. But I'm mostly supporting now, updating this Tokyo dependency, which is what handles the asynchronous code in our project, and yeah, it's gonna enable a couple of tracing tools so that if we have to debug this further, and we will have to, it's gonna be easier. Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
super focused. That's impressive, huh?
So in the first version, we had a straight line here, indicating, you know, this is where it roughly goes.
Ah, this is the staking UI.
Exactly. And, you know, we had a big round feedback. And one idea that came out of it was, like, okay, so we really need to avoid that people have the impression that this is exactly what I got. I like that this is exactly the reward I'll be getting. And one idea was instead of showing one straight line, to show a bit of a corridor. With
Because we
that,
don't
though-
have a fixed block time, right? The blocks are a little bit flexible, and you cannot know exactly how much reward you're gonna
Well,
get. No.
it's not so much because of the block time. It's
not?
because it really depends on how many people are staking in the network.
On top of it,
if
yeah,
like
you're right,
only 20% of the network are staking, my rewards will be way higher than if 80% of the network are staking.
might
that
change
is something that
slightly.
changes all the time.
You're right.
So this can only be estimates. So yeah, like one way to kind of make this number a bit less absolute is work with a corridor. Problem with the corridor though is that if we have two straight lines, they kind of seem absolute. It's like, okay, it can't go out of there, right? It can be flexible inside, but if it goes outside the corridor,
And it totally can now.
Exactly. So, but still, you know, it's a bit more loose. It's a bit more, okay, you know, there's a corridor. It's not exactly that number that I get. And to make this even clearer, I'm right now working on a tooltip that explains a bit, like, you know, the top line is, let's say 20% of the network is staking, then you would get this reward. The bottom line is 80% are staking.
Makes sense. 80-20, yeah.
That is the idea right now. So yeah, I have a
That makes sense. Yeah.
little tooltip here. Let's see where it goes.